You firing?
Mm-hmm. Good evening and welcome to Friday Nights. Here's the deal. I'm Shiloh and I got my co-host with me, Mr. Marvin. How are you?
I'm doing pretty okay. How are you, Shiloh?
Well, it's been a long week, but I'm here, right?
Yeah, you can say that again.
It was Friday and kind of a long day. Work was longer than usual and just glad that it's Friday. So, what do you know tonight?
I know it's Friday. I know we're an hour later than normal, but
Yep.
we go right.
Yep.
So, other than that, I don't know anything other than I'm off the next 2 days and I have zero plans. So,
Well, there you go. There you go. So tonight we have Michael Coachman again and Lydia Gessele, and they're uh, gonna come and talk with us about the Election Integrity Act. And we're obviously a couple weeks ago we brought up the topic of the retroactive date on
yep.
the Election Integrity Act, and so we're gonna talk with them and see what they have to say, and we can go from there. So with that being said, we'll bring them on, Mr. Michael Coachman and Lydia Gessele. How are you guys tonight?
Hey, great.
Good. So we're kind of all over. We're in Ray in the Williston area. We got one in Bismarck, one in Fargo, and Lydia, where are you?
Chasely, Wells County.
Wells County. So we're kind of all over the state. So
Yeah, we are.
well, let's get right into it, guys. Obviously, you guys are with the Election Integrity Act. We've had you on a few times. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the retroactive date on this, and we had some concerns on it. So, I guess we could start. Who would like to go first on about this retroactive date and what it means to you guys and the petition?
Well, if Coach wants to go, or I can go too.
Go ahead, Lydia.
Okay. That retroactive date that was put in there, that was put there so that we would have a chance to look back at the past election. Because right now with these machines, we do not have a chance to even have an audit of the election system. So we needed to have some way to look back at our past election and see if there's been any problems in the past. So, I mean, that's it in a nutshell. That's why it's the retroactive date of June 1st.
Okay, Coach, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, you brought up a couple of things. One is when we gave the petition to the Secretary of State and AG, what is the duty of the Secretary of State when you bring a petition to them?
Well, they're supposed to prepare it, make sure that's ready to go. But, the first time they put it through, you guys got a gigantic title, and the second time they kind of just whipped this one through.
Well, we also trimmed this down. So
exactly.
This is almost 2 pages shorter than it was before.
Right. And not only that, the duty of the Secretary of State is to make sure, even though they can change stuff, is to make sure it represents the people and it doesn't violate any law. And that's why they send it also to the Attorney General's office to make sure that it doesn't violate any constitutional law. So if it went to them first and they okayed it, and I know you guys mentioned, then they can file a suit saying, hey, look, this is retroactive. No, they approved it. How can they approve something or sue something that they approved? Is my question. And not only that, just because it's retroactive cannot, and I believe even by Century Code that it doesn't nullify that election. And even if they choose to say, okay, we're still going to take it to court, when it's just like you're saying they're going to sue. Anybody can sue anybody for anything. It's a matter if the court will take it up if they do sue. And right now, what are they going to sue? You know, are they going to say this nullifies a retroactive date? And if I was the judge, and Silo, you were the AG office, and Marv, you're the Secretary of State, and I ask you, why didn't you correct this at the very beginning when they first got the petition? And your response would be saying, what?
So my questions that I've asked you, and we had that long conversation the day before Thanksgiving. Why did we put it before the election when it wasn't on the first petition? Because it wasn't on your guys' first form. We went back and looked at it, and it wasn't there. The retroactive date wasn't there.
No, there's a matter of fact, a lot of things that we had on the first petition, as Lydia said, we removed to trim it down. And as you work on something, like anything, you modify it. And this is the modification. It's like, you know what? We didn't think of it. How are we going to verify that? It's like with any type of thing. You have your, if you want to look at aircraft, you have a A-frame and a B-frame, C, D models. Why? Because you keep updating it. So when we sent it in, we sat down and said, you know what? If we're going to trim this down, let's make sure we definitely got it right. And that was one of the things. How can we go back and check and verify this last election? Which individual want, because that wasn't brought up during the first time.
Okay, so the only election you're going to be able to look at is going to be the general of November of 2020, correct? 2022?
2022.
Okay, so that'll be
because they only keep it for only so long. If we waited till 1 July, we wouldn't be able to look at that one.
Well, 22 months would put it in September. It's 22 months. So
22 months?
Yeah, 22 months. So 2 months before November would have put you guys in September to look at that election.
Okay.
Isn't it 22 months though for a presidential election?
No, they changed the law a couple years ago. It's federal now. And confirmed with the Secretary of State's office that the federal elections are going to be your House, your Senate, your presidential. So all those are now 22 months. So, so that was my hang up there. And it wasn't because I was trying to cause issues or headaches or anything like that. It's the retroactive date. And I'll use this as a case in point. They use it to, and I've said it before, they use it to backdate things, to move it. It's like a time machine that's generally used with insurance companies. So North Dakota, this last legislative session passed House Bill 1279, which I don't care how anybody wants to label it, it's a died suddenly bill. And why I say it's a died suddenly bill is you get into that last paragraph, and they made the bill retroactive to October 1st of 2021, which is 3 weeks before they released the boosters. And the bill itself addresses healthcare for emergency personnel, stuff like that. So across the state, we had mayors that were following the president's mandate, which was found illegal after the fact, for getting these COVID shots. And this show is probably going to get taken off YouTube, so let's have at it. So across the state, we had city mayors, city officials forcing city employees to get these boosters. So this bill was lauded for how quickly they passed it through and how it's going to help with health insurance and how it's going to do all this for our emergency personnel. Thank God they're covering their butts. But that retroactive date was 3 weeks prior to the boosters being authorized for emergency use. So that's their way of saying, hey, so we may have screwed up. And now here we sit, you know? So I don't know if you guys are following me on that, but that was my concern on that retroactive date, is generally it's used as a timestamp as to move things backwards in time. So when I saw it with the election initiative, it wasn't on the first one. And we weren't coming after you guys. We love the petition. We do. I mean, we've both supported, testified, and worked on this. So it's not like we're going to come after it and say, no, this is bad. The way I look at it, and I know people say, oh, they'll never call back an election. They won't, is what the pushback is I've gotten through my phone, because my phone blew up just like Shiloh's did after we had that. So that's not the issue. You can't say they'll never do this. The governor on November 11th of 2020 assured the legislative leaders that he wasn't going to impose mask mandates. They'll never shut down our polling locations like they did in the primary of 2020 and go strictly to mail-in ballots. They'll never try and shut down the schools and go strictly to distance learning. We've already seen what they're willing to do. And my concern, and I voiced it with Shiloh, and Shiloh's voiced it, and we've had these conversations, and I've had these conversations with you guys too. It's not, I'm not trying to attack it.
No.
I'm not. I just don't. We have a self-serving government in the Capitol. We do. Because I've reached out to the state's attorney's office through another avenue to try and get an opinion on this retroactive date. And the response that we got back was the Attorney General's office is here to protect cities, counties, and the state, not the
state. So, and I'll just piggyback off of Marvin and say the same thing. I, you know, and we've talked about this before, Coach. You were there at the meeting, and you and Terry Kemet flat asked me if this was a good idea, plus what Mike Lindell was trying to do as well. And I said, I think that we should hit them from all directions. And I do believe that. And I like this, but this is my concern as well. So, and it wasn't that I was trying to, you know, attack it either or anything like that. So I just hope that we can figure this out.
Let me ask you both this.
Sure.
Okay. Because you're concerned about that scenario, correct? Both of you?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's say it happens. What will happen? How do you see that playing out?
Okay, so in theory, here's how it would play out. Because what your guys' initiative does is it removes election machines, yes?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so they're gone. That retroactive date puts us to June 1st. Our primary is June 11th, correct?
Correct.
So say we get all our signatures, say we get this thing passed after we deal with all the advertising and everything else that's going to come out against it, because they're probably already priming just in case you guys have the signatures there. I mean, property tax initiative, we've already seen the Chamber, North Dakota United, and the League of Counties all come out against it. So it's coming. So we pass this initiative. Somebody goes, well, this retroactive date puts it into effect June 1st. So we now have passed, as a state, a petition to eliminate the election machines that was voted on with the election machines.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that puts us back to ground zero, because now we're going to have to, if they decide to invalidate the election because of the petition, now you come back into special elections, correct?
Okay.
So special elections, since this technically didn't pass, would be back on the ballot again, correct?
No.
Why wouldn't it be on the ballot again?
Because a measure like this is not going to invalidate the election. We've had people look at it too, and they said that this initiative will not be able to invalidate an election.
Okay. Well, and did you have your legislator that signed on to it reach out to Drew's office?
Yes, I asked Jeff Magram to get a hold of Drew Wrigley's office.
Okay. Well, have we heard anything back or no?
No.
I haven't.
No. He said he probably won't answer them. He's been using the AG's office been using a vague response to most of the questions that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is the same thing I got. Because our response, give me a second here. Let me find it.
And if I remember correctly, if it's a, and I could be wrong how I was told that because it's a constitutional measure, it will not invalidate the election. And even though, like I said, the Attorney General and Secretary of State office may say, well, we may want to sue this, doesn't mean that it's going to fly into court. And he said, if it did, all it does is a special election without the machines, because that doesn't change.
So the response we got back was, thank you for contacting our office. The Attorney General and his staff are not permitted to provide legal advice or legal services to the public. The Office of the Attorney General provides legal services and opinions to state officials, which
Jeff Magram. Yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Agencies, boards, and commissions. For clarification on North Dakota law, you may want to also consider consulting with an attorney in private practice. Do you know how hard it is to find an attorney in North Dakota that will represent the citizens against the government?
Very hard.
I'm sure they do.
I would.
If you look at the Benedict fight, we contacted over 40 different attorneys just to get clarification on whether or not an ordinance was legal. And they all said, oh, we have a conflict of interest.
And not only that, they're not going to go against the AG because they know they'll come after them in other forms, and they're not going to rock the boat.
Yeah.
So the greatest power that we have is we the people. And I have no issue, and I know Lydia doesn't have any either, and some of the people help write this, have no problem going into court and standing and fighting for we the people, that this is what we wanted and this is what it means. So even though they may say, hey, look, this is what it's all about, if we said, no, we don't want to nullify the June 11th election. So if we are saying that's what our interpretation, and that's what they're saying their interpretation, and we're saying, no, it is not going to nullify it, then it's a moot deal. Because we're not pushing to say to get rid of the June 11th and redo a special one. We're not saying that.
Okay, so here's
so what's their argument then?
Here's your last what if.
Mm-hmm.
Say a candidate loses and decides to challenge based on that.
Yeah, then what is written in the petition, that's what he has. He can go back and look at it. He can go and verify it a lot easier than.
No, that's not what I'm saying. So
what are you saying?
So we have Bob Johnson against Tom Beadle. Bob Johnson's a random name. Don't go looking him up.
No, I wasn't.
Bob Johnson.
Okay,
versus
Billy Bob and Bobo.
There we go.
Beetle, right? So say we run into a situation where Billy Bob here takes out Thomas Beetle. And awesome, right? Now, what's not to say Tom wouldn't come back and challenge that and say, oh, well, because this wasn't done on paper ballots. You see what I'm saying?
I don't think I'm not seeing how he can come back and say because it wasn't on a paper ballot, because the paper ballot is more sure showing that you have. If you got 100 ballots, you're going to show that. With a machine, you can't. That's the major problem. That's why we want to get rid of the machines, because there is no guarantee of verifying that if somebody won or lost with the machines. You can't do it. They've never been certified. What do you say, Lydia, on that?
That the HAVA, they don't have that certification.
Yeah. So he is better off with the paper ballot than with the machines, because you can't. There's no way you could actually verify if what has happened during an election, June 11th or before, since we've been having the machines. There's no way you can verify an election 100% in this state. So to challenge it, that person be hard pressed. And you see how hard, even if you as a candidate who lost, it's almost impossible to get the results back. We're making it easier so they can.
Yeah, well, the Help America Vote Act obviously is something that I've talked about a lot. We actually, Cole and I hijacked one of Magram's bills, and that was part of that special meeting the other day, wasn't it? They needed some extra money for that.
Oh yeah, over $250,000 they want, and they got it
after they got $1 million. Well,
it's more than $1 million, isn't it? Didn't they get like $8 million?
$8 million. They used $3 million. Still got $5 million and $200,000 on top.
No, it was $100 million it was $1 million that was added to the bill just for HAVA, to the Secretary of State's office, was for looking into becoming HAVA compliant. And I hate to spoil the fun for them, but it means they have to create a voter registration if they want to do it. So they're going to spend an
I wonder if they know that.
Well, I don't know. Because in order for them to be HAVA compliant, you need to have a voter registration, which is why North Dakota isn't. We're the only state out of all 50 that doesn't have one in place. Yep. I've already gone around about voter registration because it's only as good as the people that have the keys to the system to know if it's actually legitimate. And we've already seen a governor that's willing to delay licenses, to delay reports on certificates. We've seen a Secretary of State's office that will start pre-testing before the election about a week ahead of time and posting it right on their website, where everything changes from outcomes to numbers to the amount of people that are able to vote. The primary that I ran in, it went from 300 some thousand to 700 some thousand to end up on 563,000 eligible voters. So we've already seen this game play out.
Exactly. You can watch it actually live. And just like when I was down there in Medora in 2021, and I confronted the Secretary of State in front of our GOP, and then I asked at 10:37, how many votes came in? He said this. I said 10:38. How many votes came in? He gave me a number. I said, how can people lose votes on election night? He goes, we dumped them. There were test votes. And you know, and I know you can't dump test votes on election night. So I got plenty of information. Yeah, you see, and I got plenty of information. So if they want to say that we need to keep the machines, I got plenty. And I sent it to the AG. I have sent it to the sheriff. They don't want to look at it. That show that the machines are so fallible. I don't have a problem. Matter of fact, I hope they challenge this date, because I will bring out all the stuff from the 2020 election on the machines and all the information. And I would not be surprised if Mike Frank and Dr. Frank and Mike Lindell will show up at that case to show the issues, because there is a machine problem if they want to keep the machine because of this predating or postdating. So
with that whole dumping the votes, our auditor was adamant about the fact that the election can't even start for the day unless everything has been zeroed out, that the machine won't even start up to process for voting unless everything's zeroed out. So when they're saying they had to dump mid-election.
Well, in a USM location, didn't the ESMS employee transfer the USB drive, not an election official?
Yep.
Which is illegal.
Yeah. So like,
and you know, and you gotta, and I know you, Marv, received enough stuff after the 2020 and 21 election from Fargo with ballots in the hallway in the hotel and here in Fargo. All this different stuff. No one has ever explained the 26,000, I think it was in Jamestown, that was lost, absentee ballots. So what we're doing is, you know what? It's going to be a two-sword that's going to cut them. Hey, look, we're fixing our election. If they want to challenge it, this is an opportunity to bring up all the stuff why we don't need it. So to me, I hope they say, you know what, Your Honor, we want to challenge this this machine stuff and the predate of the machines, because then we can start bringing stuff in. It would be like Trump in Georgia. Let's go start bringing stuff in. Let's start showing them what's wrong with the machines and why we did what we did.
Yeah,
that's me. That's what I would do.
I guess the only other thing I wish you guys would have added, I really, really, really wish you would have added, was something that Cole and I tried to get added in the Magram's bill too. Only a member of the sheriff's department can escort ballots to and from polling locations. They need to be moved in a sheriff's vehicle.
You know, that's the first time I heard that, and you're correct. But then hindsight 2020.
But does it really matter though? Because, you know, just like Coach said too, the sheriffs don't want to hear any of this, or I don't know.
Well, the sheriffs may not, but I bet you their deputies would.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but we knew a couple of deputies that were trying to watch the ballot counting, and they were told to leave, and their sheriff told them, get out of there, let them count. You know, but this is my thought, and that's why I said it. You know what you suggested about the sheriffs. A lot of this, I think, within the next 2 to 4 years, you're going to see a major upturn as far as conservatives in North Dakota, because starting in November, we're having paper ballots. You can't pay to play. In other words, you can't go and make a backroom deal and say, if I get you in office, you need to scratch my back as I scratch your back. You won't be able to do it with this. That's where we have people who wants to run, because there's a lot of people who would love to run for office, but they're not going to put money into a broken system. I'm not going to waste my time running for an office when I know this person's staying in their basement and they're going to win. This, you're going to have to campaign. If you got 300 people in your county, the most ballots you should have is 310. And the reason I say 310, because you have to have, you know, just in case some ballots are spoiled. but they're watermarked. They're going to be easy tracked. You can go back and look at them. And I believe the way they had it, we have it set it up on the petition that they need to be on the Secretary of State's website within a couple of days, the ballots themselves. Now, they're not going to have the names, but you as a person, you know how you voted. You can say, yeah, that's pretty close. And you can actually see the actual real time. You know, when you have don't have no type of verification, because right now in North Dakota with these machines, we don't have elections. We have selections. We have no way to verify. And if you can't verify an election, it's a selection. This is going to fix it. And you're going to see the people who are, like I said, pay to play are not going to run in November. They're not going to run in 2 years in June. Why? Because if they run on their platform and we know what a rhino is, Republican in name only, they're not going to do it because they have no way to win. They're going to have to actually change either their philosophy. In the meantime, people who are really conservative, who really want to fight for their home, and know that when they go in there, that there's going to be 300 votes tallied or 300 ballots and 200 people voted, there should be 100 ballots left over. We have precincts because we also put in there, every precinct needs to be open. I got documentation in Grand Forks. On the website, it shows 29 precincts. But when you go into the Alara Center, it had only 19. They're making ghost precincts. This may not be the most perfect petition to put in, but then you're looking at people who are not perfect. We can always go back and hopefully amend those things. Like you said, if we get sheriffs that really who love their job and really want to serve the people, that is something that we do. But right now, I don't know how to fix that right now, except for concerned citizens to follow in those. I think that's the only way to do it. We have to do it at a process, a little at a time. And as these things come on and suggestions, I would say, Shiloh and Marvin, write them down and somehow could do an amendment or somehow to come to that, because it's been since 2012 was the last time we had paper ballots. I think. So it's been a while. So we have to almost, I'm going to say, reinvent the wheel to fix these things that we didn't have before. But we have a lot of people who are willing to be involved in this and know that their vote counts. That's the key of this whole thing, even being challenged, whatever. The people know they have their vote will count. And right now we see a major response on how people are getting on board with this. And I know you guys talk about how come no one's challenging it. How can they really challenge something? If the GOP comes out right now and say, you know what, we want to have voting machines, which is really funny because that's what they're planning on doing at the convention. So for them to come out and say, we don't support the voting machines, who else talks about wanting to have the voting machines? Well, the Democrats. So are they saying they're sounding like the oppositions? So it's really going to be hard for anybody to say, hey, look, this is a bad constitutional amendment.
Yeah, well, and where you'll see that pushback, though, it's not going to be from the GOP. They'll use their own different little routes, if you know what I mean. Yes,
and we're already seeing that, and we're already getting ready to counter most of that.
So normally what they'll do is they'll run it through the chamber. The Chamber of Commerce. And of Commerce creates a subgroup that gets a bunch of funding. Give me a second. I'll give you an example. So I have it in front of me. Oh.
As you're looking for that,
Yeah.
I think the things that happen in Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia with Trump, all of these different things are slowly letting people know, even when if they come out and dump hundreds of thousands of dollars into trying to keep the machines, the fact that it's happening across our nation, Argentina, all these other countries, people are saying, no, we still don't want it. Trick me once, shame on you. Trick me twice, shame on me. I think they're going to be really hard pressed because people are waking up to see the machines are not the best interest of their vote. Now, are there going to be people pushing it? Yeah. Why? How are they going to stay in office? If they don't keep these machines, how are they going to stay in office? How are they going to get their funding?
Okay, Coach.
Yes.
Let's play. Does this sound familiar? Protect North Dakota's Constitution.
Yeah, I know it's like, hey, healthy living.
Okay.
But you kill babies.
No. It was people that send out flyers.
Right.
How about North Dakotans for Sound Government?
Yeah, I heard of them.
Okay, $100,000 donation from the North Dakota Chamber of Commerce. North Dakotans for Sound Government was made by Matt Gardner, who was the director of the Chamber of Commerce.
I was at a meeting today. You have, say, out of 100 people, you're going to have 40 to 50%, say, for instance, going forward. Then you have another 20, 30% that are just going to stand there and see what's going to happen. And then you might have another 10 to 20% that ain't going to do nothing no matter what happens. You're always going to have some type of opposition and people funding, especially when you're doing wrong. When you're doing wrong, like what's going on in a lot of these areas, you're always going to get it. But the truth will always prevail.
Yeah.
When you look at this amendment, it's all giving it back to we the people, to the people back in North Dakota. So to say, you know what? We want to keep these machines because you're going to have to, in so many words, say, we want to keep you ignorant and enslaved.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. We don't want you to really have a voice.
Yeah.
We don't want you to change. We just want you to go to work, come home, be happy, play with the kids, and let us make the rules.
Yeah.
Which is what a globalist is. This, like I said, it may not be the perfect, but I tell you what, it's the best thing to put us back on the road, to give your voice. And I could tell you what, Marvin, there's nothing going to be sweeter, win or lose, if you run for Secretary of State, that you know that you picked up thousands of petitions and you can verify them one at a time or have your group doing it. That's what gives you peace and security, knowing that you can do that.
Yeah.
And you know what? In another year or two, the retroactive date really won't matter.
Yeah. This was the last one that got me, just because if I'm going to make somebody angry, I may as well keep calling out the chamber. Do you remember North Dakotans for Common Sense Conservation?
Yeah, that was 2018, I believe, 17, 18, something like that, I remember.
Yep. The chamber donated $1 million $36,700 to stop whatever they were up against.
But you know,
And you know who was the chairman at that time?
who?
John Godfrey.
Oh, of course.
But like I said, in 2 to 4 years with these paper ballots, the swamp here in North Dakota will be drained because you're going to have constitutional minded or people who want to do what's right run for office because they know they have an opportunity to win. And that's what's going to affect the chambers, the school boards, the city councils, the county commissioners. All that's going to change, I believe, in 4 years. We're going to go back from Chinese red state to a Republican red state, and I think in 2 to 4 years because of this paper ballot. And those things like the chambers, they're going to lose their powers because you see how it was within the last couple of years with the school boards and how people are doing it. You saw how people were just coming up with this. This is what's going to change. People are going to know. A lot of people don't run because they know, again, I'm running against a giant. It's not fair. It's supposed to be fair and free elections. They're not. And we know that. Well, people come out and say it. Most people won't. But this, they know. They know. And a lot of the older people who are over 40 who did paper ballots before, they're going to say, yeah, I'm going to like filling in that spot, and I don't have to worry about touching a machine that's going to keep changing my answers. Peace. It's like digital money or give me some real currency and gold in my hand. There's a big difference. If I could touch it, that's what I want. There ain't nothing wrong with having some money in a checking account, but you know what? I still like some Benjamins in my hand. And just like the voting, some people just know that when they hold that paper, that it will count. The whole mindset, I believe, in 2 to 4 years will change this whole state, and which in turn, I believe, will change our whole nation.
Yeah, well, I've always said if you want to fix it in North Dakota first. So use us as an example of positive, not negative.
Exactly.
So
wait a minute, Lydia has something to say. I could see it on her face.
Go ahead, Lydia.
It might have something to do with sleep.
Hey, I hear you there, Lydia. I hear you. Well, I just want to say is that I hope that it turns out the way that you guys are planning it on turning out. So, I guess that's pretty much what I have to say is that I hope that you guys are correct. I still am a little worried about this, but I wish you guys luck. Where all are you guys?
Don't. There's. It's like Don't let something that may never happen affect you. If it happens, it happens. There's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing we can actually do right now, no matter what. If they want to do it, fine. If they don't, fine.
Fair enough.
But don't sweat on it. It's let's go forward and make it happen, and we'll see after that. I think they're going to be worried about November more than anything else than the June 11th election. But don't sweat it. I mean, woulda, coulda, shoulda. It may never. If it does, we're ready. We're ready to get in the trenches. We will get in the trenches and sit in the court and fight it out. That's what makes America great. Everybody don't have to agree with everybody. And we have a court system, even though it may be broken.
Yeah.
But we have an opportunity to still say and fight and bring our grievances to the table and let the people know. Because the key to this is bringing people into the court and listen. Are your rights going to be taken away when you just got them? If they want to do that, that monkey's on them. That monkey's going to be on them if they want to go ahead and nullify the June's election. That's going to be on them. And they can't be saying they're doing it for the people or doing it for the Constitution. And they're doing it for their own selfish reason. And that I don't have a problem fighting. Like I said, we have the ammunition. We're going to have the people supporting us when we go into that courtroom if we ever have to. And I believe it's the most foolish thing for them to do is to go in the courtroom, because then you can reveal more than they want to have exposed, because you can't go just on this election. You're going to have to go from 2022 to 2020 and maybe even to 2018. And you don't want that and to say, hey, this is why we're doing what we're doing. And we had these dates. If they want to go there, that's their monkey. And I'm ready to do it. And I know a bunch of other people are too.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's, I run in what ifs, Coach.
I know, but there's nothing wrong with what is.
And it's like, generally when I say something, it's because I've already run through the situations. And that's the one thing that bothers me, is we already know that we have currently an administrative government that cares about itself, not the people.
You know what we used to say in the Air Force? What if worms had machine guns?
Right.
Birds wouldn't mess with them.
So
you can come up with a what if. Matter of fact, Disney said they got a what ifs from Star Wars to the Marvel characters if they did some what if.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's a good what if, just for a closing thought. So, what if Bismarck, Fargo, Grand Forks, and Minot all passed mask mandates? And what if they hit a 15% on the COVID tracker? What do you think they're going to have? And see, these are what ifs that when you ask them, people say, oh, well, they'll never force masks on everybody.
No, I'm not doing that. I wouldn't say they would never do that. I prepare for it. That's what the military do. You have plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. You just prepare and hope that you don't have to, but you're prepared. But you don't live in fear. Well, if the enemy attacks me here, well, let him. We suck. It may look like a retreat, but it's really a setup. It's all on how you are prepared mentally to go into battle. They right now are reeling from this petition and all the different stuff, from a lot of the cancellation of the pipelines, food fang. They're reeling because the difference between you and me, a lot of these guys promised somebody that they were going to get results, and we stopped them because the people were standing up. When this pass, I believe when it passed, and they're going to say, no, we don't want it to pass, you're going to have an uprising in the state, because a lot of people are on board with this. A lot of people are tracking with us. I think the military is following us and seeing what's going to happen to see what the state do, because they can say, hey, look, you violated the people's rights. A lot of different things. What if the military steps in and tell them not to sue? If you're going to go with what ifs. Yeah. What if we, the people, stand up and say, no, we're not going to do this? What if the judge goes, we're not looking at this case? And what if he does? We look at it and go, like you say anything or do anything at the beginning of when this was in your office for 5 to 7 days and yours for another 3. Why didn't you fix it then? That was your responsibility to do that.
Yeah. Well, Shiloh, do you have any other questions? Because I think it's time for me to have some supper and catch some sleep, because we've been after it for a while now.
I guess it's my thing is,
folks.
Well, he did turn 65 a couple of weeks ago, so
45.
What?
45.
I've been giving him a hard time.
This
I
is like
was say 65. Man, you must have a case of just for men.
Shoot. Is there anything else that you guys would like the people to know, or where they can find the petition? I know that you guys are at Gateway Mall quite a bit in Bismarck. Is there anywhere else?
Well, we're working on getting into West Acres. So we're filling out that paper at Fargo.
That's Fargo, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So we're doing that paperwork this weekend so we can get into West Acres and we'll have people petitioning there. And we've got, if you go to the electionintegrityact.com site, you can contact us. We're going to get a page up that says all the different counties where people have petitions, because we're in pretty much all the counties now. We still have 15 counties yet that we don't have circulators in, but we've got circulators in all the rest of the county.
Okay.
And we're picking up circulators. Just today, I picked up another one. 2 days ago, picked another one. A lot of people are really getting on board on this. Yeah, we're moving and grooving.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your guys' time and coming back on, and we'll have to do it again before the February deadline. When is the deadline that you guys are working for again? The 12th of February?
February 12th. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if there's a time where you guys want to be back on, and just reach out and we'll fit you guys in. So I do appreciate your guys' time.
But tomorrow morning at 8?
Tomorrow morning at 8?
You're going to be
joking.
on? I'm not going to be on. I'll be in my car.
Marvin just gave me that look like, what?
I'm sure I gave you quite the look. That's funny. Okay, Coach, on a regularly scheduled show.
There you go. I would love to. I really do. Let me tell you something. The first time I heard that, I did not get upset or anything like that. To me, it's like anything. There's a reason, and sometimes it's a misunderstanding, but it's okay. There's nothing wrong with having conflict. I know some people jump both feet on you guys. I said, no, that's not what you do. You sit down, you talk about it. You have to learn how to talk about it.
I agree.
And it's like here on the show, you bring both point of view. If you say, you know what, Coach, Lydia, you changed her mind, great. Or you didn't change your mind, that's fine. It's America. Yeah. You have the choice of doing and believing the way you are. It's all good, because not one thing defines a person. That doesn't just define you. It's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater because you don't agree with me on one thing. Really? I don't know about you, Shiloh. I don't think you and your wife agree with 100%, do you?
No.
Yeah, no. But you still, yeah. Same with you. We all have those. Our kids like, Mom, I don't want to do this. Dad, I don't want to do this. Well, you're going to do it, and you're going to like it. It's okay. It's all good.
Well, I'll say this. You are correct. I did have some people that were fairly harsh, and I'll be honest with you, just like you got done saying, Coach, that's their right or their freedom, or however you want to put that. I took it with a grain of salt. I'm, definitely not on the other side like I got accused of being, and I just had some concerns, and we've talked about them, and we'll just go from there. I mean, yeah, we can agree to disagree, but I'm not going to hold that. I'm not going to hold anyone. I mean, it's just there's way other things more important to be worried about than that. And so, I mean, honestly, the same thing happened when Luke came out against the term limits deal, when we had the debate with him and Daryl Lease, and then Mike Blessums and Jeff Magrum were on. So, I mean, we took some heat on that too, and it is what it is. I mean, we have to have thick skin too, I guess.
Yeah,
But I'm
it
just,
is what it is.
I
Like
don't,
I said, if it's one thing out of 50 items, that's
yeah.
that's you know what?
And I'll still
All I
stand
know
by.
is I have total peace. Like I said, I prepare because let me and I did share this with our group. I said I'm glad you brought it up because I didn't want it to blindside us if it did happen. If it
Yeah.
did, now, like anything, just because it seems like it's bad doesn't mean it's bad. All it is bring it to your attention. You learn how to deal with it. Right now, we're talking, me, Lydia, a couple of people. Okay, if it does happen, we're learning how to deal with it.
Okay.
That's all you can do.
That's all we can ask for,
That's all you do.
honestly. So,
I'm just going to hope for if it happens the worst, but I'm going to hope for the best. And if it happens to be the best, you know what? I'm not losing no more hair for wearing.
well, I'm like you. I don't have much to lose either, so I hear you there. So,
All right.
no, it's gosh, I was gonna say one more thing, and I don't remember what it was now, but
Go
mustn't
to
have been
sleep.
that important, right?
Yeah, it was
So,
something about sleep, I think.
Yeah, I think it was sleep.
yeah. See, Lydia and I, we were only wanting to be on for about a half an hour. We're almost at an hour, so we exceeded ourselves, Lydia.
Yep, we did.
So,
Well, you
I
gotta
know what I was
remember, I
going to
get up at
say.
4:45.
When we did when we were talking about it, and you guys can go back and look, and that was kind of my response too. Is we didn't say that this is no good. We liked everything, but this is what we were concerned about. And so I just again, I'm not gonna hold it against anybody. If they hold it against me, then it is what it is. But I'm still fighting for our country. I got two little kids, 9 and 7. It's the whole reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. I mean, I think we all four can agree on that. So I guess that's where I'm at with it. And like I said, we'll just keep moving on and see what happens.
Right.
Expect the best and prepare for the worst. Is that how it
Exactly.
goes? So, all right. Well, if you guys don't have anything else, I appreciate you guys being on again, and we'll have to do it again.
All right. You guys take care. God bless. Have a good night.
Same
Good
to
night.
you. Good night. Well, we're almost at 10 o'clock, Marv.
Yeah, it's bedtime, dude.
So with that, folks, what's Tuesday's show again, Marvin?
Mark Hare with the Center for Self-Governance. I'll get that up this weekend so that the links there and stuff, and do some updating on the website.
Yeah.
We've all
Well,
been kind
it's
of
been a
slacking with everything
crazy
the last couple weeks.
it's been a crazy month, obviously, for me and you as well, and just yeah, we've got some catching up to do, and it is what it is. So, but with that, folks, I guess we'll leave you with that. That was Michael Coachman and Lydia Gessele with the Election Integrity Act. They said they were in the Gateway Mall. They're usually there daily, I do believe, and they're working
Yep.
in Fargo at the West Acres Mall. And so,
Yep, and the
if you have
Gateway
any
Mall,
questions, you can go to their website.
the Gateway Mall has the property tax initiative at it too. So I
Okay.
think they have them right at the same table, so you can sign them both at the same time and move on. So,
All
and
right.
remember, folks, we're not, when it comes to these petitions, we're just asking to give people the opportunity to vote for it.
Yep.
So that's where it really comes down to. By signing it doesn't mean you're necessarily saying that you 100% support it, but you are giving people across the state the opportunity to vote for it. So
That's a fact.
it's like when Tuttle ran for office, like I signed his petition, he signed mine for Secretary of State.
Mhm.
You know, it's what we do when we want to help someone out, or
Yep.
if we believe in something. So
I agree. And again,
anyway,
just like they were saying, we don't have to agree on everything. And
Yep.
it is the way it is. And again, I'm not gonna hold any grudges, and I hope nobody else does either. And if they do, I guess that's on them. That's none of our business. So,
Yeah.
but
We got bigger fish to fry than hang each other out to dry.
yep. So with that, we'll have a good weekend, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday night at our original
Normal
time
8:00.
of 8 o'clock Central Time. So have a good evening.
All right.